Hello everyone. A very good evening to all of you guys. Welcome to the MCQ session on finance current affairs. Very good evening. Let's start the session. Guys, the first question for today is, the growing influence in India's digital payment ecosystem has resulted in formal global recognition, positioning its real-time infrastructure as a model for cross-border adoption. Such acknowledgements highlights the scalability, resilience and interoperability of the platform, which global institution has recognized UPI for its contribution recently in December 2025. So there was a report by International Monetary Fund, right? Perfect Bhakti, IMF. Very good evening. Next one. Can you also tell me the approximately share of global real-time payment transaction which only UPI is accounting for as of now? Good evening, John. Good evening, Bhakti. The correct choice here is 49%. Okay, 49% exclusively UPI is holding in terms of global real-time payment transactions. Okay. Next one, the governance reforms in market, specifically in the market infrastructure institutions, include strengthening of the board composition and professional oversight. How many executive directors were recommended under the new governance framework now in the market infrastructure institution board? So 2 members were recommended, 2 directors were recommended, executive directors. Yesterday only we have discussed. This is one of the SEBI circular, right? Next one, to support the merchant onboarding in smaller centers, the authority established a funding mechanism to subsidize the deployment of digital acceptance infrastructure. This is especially critical in the regions where commercial viability remains low. What fund facilitates the POS infrastructure deployment in Tier 3 to Tier 6 and the Northeast states? The correct choice here is Payment Infrastructure Development Fund, PIDF. PIDF is the correct choice. Next one. Participating in the interest rate derivatives have been broadened now to align the domestic demand with that of the international norms. Can you tell me who has been permitted to participate in the rupee IRD transaction, interest rate derivative transactions, now onwards? Reserve Bank of India has released a new direction related to the interest rate derivative transactions, allowing both the residents and the non-residents, right? Both the residents as well as the non-residents to participate in this transaction. Perfect. Next one. To prevent excessive risk accumulation in the derivative market, prudential caps have been placed on the outstanding exposure. So what is the prescribed PVBP cap on the outstanding interest rate derivative position of the non-resident? Important. That's option E, 1000 crore. Okay. Option E, 1000 crore is the perfect choice. Next one. The idle funds left across the dormant financial instruments have been prompted a coordinated national initiative from the central government side. Can you tell me the name of this national wide campaign of central government? What was the name? What was the title? Yes, the title was Your Money, Your Rights. Your Money, Your Rights was the title. Option A is the correct choice. Option A is the correct choice here. Next one. When regulatory caps are breached in the derivative market, speculative activity is curtailed and only essential transactions are allowed. This ensures that the market participants use the derivatives for disciplined purpose rather than unchecked exposure. Which purpose alone allows non-resident to initiate fresh interest rate derivative positions after the overall cap is reached? Important. The correct choice here is option E, hedging purpose, right? Once the cap is breached, in that case, if you are a non-resident, you can only take transactions for the hedging purpose, right? You can't take the open transactions for speculative purpose. You need to do transactions for the hedging purpose only after crossing the limit. Acha, tell me this one, where all the IRD transactions must be reported in order to ensure transparency in the over-the-counter interest rate derivatives transaction, where all the interest rate derivative transactions to be reported? All the interest rate derivative transactions are to be reported in Clearing Corporation of India, right? CCIL. CCIL में report होंगे. Next one. The government's unclaimed asset initiative is anchored on a simplified thematic structure that promotes citizen participation. It prioritizes the empowering individuals through informed access and targeted action. What is the 3A framework underpinning this campaign of central government, which was launched for the unclaimed deposits and asset purpose? The correct choice is option A, awareness, accessibility and action, 3A framework. Next one. To counter increasing payment fraud risk, a specialized intelligence infrastructure has been developed, and which two public sector banks are setting up this digital payment fraud detection platform? Important. From the current affair point of view. Bank of Baroda and State Bank of India, right? From the current affair point of view, important. Next one. The proposed fraud detection platform is structured as a Section 8 company, right? जो कि SBI बैंक और BOB लेके आ रहे हैं. Can you tell me the name of that proposed entity? What is the name of that proposed entity here? What is the name of that proposed entity? Name of that proposed entity is Indian Digital Payment Intelligence Corporation, brought to you by BOB and SBI Bank, and it is a Section 8 company. That means it is a not-for-profit organization, okay? It is a not-for-profit organization. Indian Digital Payment Intelligence Corporation. Next one. The investment allocation norms for pension funds have been recently revised. The portion which represents the risk-averse component of the long-term retirement portfolio, what is the maximum percentage of the total asset that may be invested in the government securities by the pension fund now? Here I am talking about the government securities, G6. The correct choice here will be 65%, right? The correct choice here will be 65%. And guys, in case if you are having any query or you just wanted to learn some concepts related to finance, you can also join my Telegram channel. If you type CA Prateek Finance on the Telegram, you will get my channel. Next one. Within the sovereign securities exposure, a small portion may be allocated to the pool fund products. If I talk about the upper limit of the G6 portfolio that may be invested in dedicated government securities mutual fund, then what is the limit? Here I am talking about the mutual funds that are dedicated in the government securities. mutual funds. And the limit here is 5%. Okay, 5% is the bare minimum limit. We have discussed yesterday only. Next one. Can you also tell me the maximum allocation which is now allowed to the debt instruments including the corporate bonds and the infrastructure bonds? Debt instruments के अंदर maximum allocation by the pension fund now in debt instruments. So we have drawn a chart for doing this particular circular yesterday. And if you try to remember the chart, you can easily answer these questions. Otherwise, this circular is a lengthy one, and I will always advise you guys कि जो भी lengthy चीज़ें उनको आप क्या करो, charts बना के ख़त्म करो. Otherwise पढ़ने को बहुत कुछ है और उतना टाइम मिलता नहीं है, right? पढ़ भी लोगे तो आखिरी में रिवाइज नहीं कर पाओगे, तो चार्ट्स बना के पढ़ोगे तो it will become quite sorted. Next one is 45%, right? This is a 45% limit, which is the maximum allocation which is allowed in the debt instrument. Next one. To expand the capital market participation in exchange, traditionally associated with commodities, has diversified its portfolio. It has received the regulatory approval to launch a mutual fund transaction system, which is the exchange that was granted an in-principle approval by Securities and Exchange Board of India. The correct choice here is option B, NCDEX, which will now enter the mutual fund as a mutual fund platform as well. Which bank was permitted to acquire 9.5% stake in the IndusInd Bank? Important from the current affair point of view. Not so important, but yeah, it's a recent update related to the IndusInd Bank, and RBI has permitted the HDFC Bank to acquire a 9% stake in the IndusInd Bank, right? 9% bank for 1 year. So HDFC Bank is the correct choice. And next one, what is the maximum permitted allocation to equities and related instruments as per the guidelines of PFRDA? So so this is the last question for today. We are going to have a very short session only. Why? Because not so many current affairs were there in this particular week, so we'll be having a short session only today. So it was more of a limit based session today, and the correct answer here is option C, 25%. Okay, 25% is the correct choice, right? And guys, for those who are preparing for RBI Grade B 2026, they can check out this complete course batch, which is including book, right? And if you are preparing for SEBI Grade A examination, you can check out the crash batch as well. Thank you so much for attending the session. See you soon next week, Thursday and Friday, 8 p.m. with a lot of finance current affairs. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Take care. Great weekend ahead. See you soon. Thank you so much. No issues at all.